Now then, let's break down this lesson on definiteness of purpose and see exactly what it means and come to understand why it's the starting point of all achievements, because it is the starting point of all individual achievements. A definiteness of purpose is something that has to be accompanied by a definite plan for its attainment, followed by appropriate action. You have to have a purpose, you have to have a plan, and you have to start putting that plan into action. And ladies and gentlemen, understand, it's not too important that your plan be sound. It is in fact not too important, because if you find that your plan isn't sound, isn't working, you can always change it. You can modify your plan, but it is very important, muy importante, that you be definite about what it is you're going after, what your purpose is. That must be very definite. There can be no ifs or ands about it, and you will see before we get on down through this lesson why that has to be so definite. Now, who am I fooling? Just to understand this philosophy, or to read it, or to hear me talking about it, it wouldn't be of very much value to you. The value truly comes when you begin to form your own patterns out of this philosophy and then start to put it to work in your daily lives, in your business, in your profession, in your jobs, or in your human relations. That's where the benefits will really come. The second premise, all individual achievements in the world today are the results of a motive or a combination of motives. Listen, I want you to understand that you have no right to ask anybody to do anything at any time without what? I wonder if you would know what that is. Without giving that person an adequate motive. And incidentally, that's the whole movement behind salesmanship. The ability to plant in the mind of the prospective buyer an adequate motive for his buying. Learning to deal with people by planting in the mind an adequate motive while they're doing the things you want them to do. Now in the world, across the world, there are a lot of people who call themselves salesmen, who have never heard of the 9 basic motives, who do not know that they have no right to ask for a sale until they have planted a motive in the mind of the buyer for his buying. The third premise, any dominating idea, plan or purpose held in the mind through repetition of thought. Any dominating idea held in the mind, plan or purpose through repetition of thought and emotionalized with a burning desire for its realization. It is then taken over by the subconscious section of the mind and acted upon through whatever logical and natural means that may be available. Now, in that paragraph, you just got a tremendous lesson in psychology. Listen, if you want the mind to pick up an idea and, to form a habit so that inevitably the mind will automatically pick up on that idea and act upon it, you have to tell the mind what you want over and over and over again. No end to it. I knew a pastor back in the day, and he came over to a delegation once, and he had his saying, day by day, in every way I'm getting better and better. In that congregation, in that delegation, he cured a great many number of people, but many more than that he didn't cure. And I wonder if you would know why. Because there was no desire. There was no feeling put in the back of that statement. You might just as well blow in the wind as to make a statement, unless you put some feeling back of it, unless you believe it. And incidentally, no funny, if you tell yourself anything often enough, you'll get to where you will believe it, even a lie. It's funny, isn't it? But it's true. In this world, there are people out there that tell themselves little white lies. And oftentimes, they're not so white at that. They get to where they believe it themselves. Now, the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between right or wrong. It doesn't know the difference between positive or negative. It doesn't know the difference between a penny or $1 million. It doesn't know the difference between success and failure. It'll accept any statement that you keep repeating through it by thoughts, by action, by words, any other means. And incidentally, it's up to you in the beginning to lay out your definiteness of purpose, write it down so that it can be understood. Memorize it, and then start repeating it day in and day out until your subconscious mind picks it up and automatically acts upon that idea. Now, this is going to take a little time. You can't expect to undo what you've been doing to your subconscious mind back down through the years by allowing negative thoughts to get into it. You can't expect that to happen overnight. But you will find that if you emotionalize any plan that you send over to your subconscious section of the mind and repeat it in a state of enthusiasm and then back it up with a spirit of faith, if you do that, you will find that the subconscious mind not only acts more quickly, but it acts more definitely and it acts more positively. And the fourth premise, any dominating desire that is backed by that state of mind known as faith, it is taken over by the subconscious section of the mind and acted upon immediately. That state of mind, family, is the only state of mind that will produce immediate action through the subconscious mind. And when I say faith, I don't have any reference to wishing or hoping or mildly believing. I don't have reference to any of those things. I have reference to a state of mind in which you can already see the finished act before you even begin it. That's pretty positive, isn't it? I can truthfully tell you that I've never undertaken to do anything in my whole life, and I didn't do it unless I got careless in my desire to do it, backed away from it, or changed my mind and my mental attitude. I have never failed anything that I make up my mind to do. And I'll tell you, you can put your own self in that same frame of mind where you make up your mind to do whatever it is that you want to do, unless you weaken as you go along. So many people do. Now, let's get back to this fourth premise. Any dominating desire, plan, or purpose, which is backed by that state of mind known as faith, is taken over by the subconscious section of the mind and acted upon immediately. Now, I don't know for sure, ladies and gentlemen, family, but I suspect there's a very small number of people in the world at any given time, any one time, that understands the principle of faith, who really understand it to know how to apply it. And even if you do understand it, if you don't back it up with action and make it a part of your habit life, you might just as well not understand it, because faith without deeds is dead. Remember that old saying? Faith without action is dead. Faith without absolute positive belief is dead. I don't know how one would expect to get any results through belief or believing unless they put some action back at that belief. With that said, if you tell your mind often enough that you have faith in anything, there'll come a time when the subconscious mind will accept that. Even if you tell your mind often enough that you have faith in yourself. Listen, have you ever thought of what such a nice thing it would be if you had such complete faith in yourself that you wouldn't hesitate to undergo or undertake anything that you wanted to do in life? Have you ever thought of how much of a benefit that would be to you? Do you know in this world how many people there are that sell themselves short all the way through life because they don't have the right amount of confidence, let alone faith? You know what? Give a guess as to what that percentage is. Now, I myself, I can't sit here and claim that I know, but I can imagine that the number is somewhere between 98 and 100. You know, that line of demarcation or that margin of people who do is so small that I wouldn't even begin to guess as to what it is. But judging by the good many thousands of people whom I've had the privilege of seeing for myself, their actions, judging by those people, I would say that it's well over 98% of the people who never in their whole lives develop a sufficient amount of confidence in themselves to go out and to undertake the things that they want to do in life. They accept from life whatever life hands them. Isn't it a strange thing how nature works? She gives you a set of tools, everything that you need that you could use to attain all that you aspire. She gives you a set of tools, adequate for your every need. And she, rewards you bountifully for accepting and using those tools. That's all you have to do. Just accept them and use them. She penalizes you beyond compassion if you don't accept them and use them. Nature hates idlest and vacuum. She wants everything to be in action, and especially does she wants the human mind to be in action. The mind isn't any different from any other part of the body. If you don't use it, if you don't rely upon it, it atrophies and withers away and finally gets to a point where anybody can push you around. Anybody. And oftentimes you don't even have the strength to resist or protest when people try to push you around. The fifth premise. The power of thought is the only thing over which the human being has complete and unquestionable means of control. A fact so astounding that it connotes a close relationship between the mind of man and infinite intelligence. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there are only 5 things in the whole known universe. Just 5 things. And out of those 5 is shaped everything that is in existence. From the smallest electrons and protons of matter on up there to the stones that float out there in the heavens, including you and me. Just 5 things. There's time and there's space. There's energy and there's matter. And out of those 4 things, although those 4 things would be no good without the 5th thing. Everything would be nothing. Everything would be chaos. You and I could not have existed without that 5th thing. What do you think it is? A universal intelligence. And it reflects itself in every blade of grass, everything that grows out of the ground. It reflects itself in all of the electrons and protons of matter. It reflects itself in space and in time. In everything there is intelligence. Intelligence operating all the time. And the person who is the most successful is the one who is capable of finding ways and means of appropriating most of his intelligence through his brain and putting it in action. His intelligence permeates the whole universe. Space, time, matter, energy, everything else. And every individual, this is important, has the privilege of appropriating most of his intelligence to his own use as much as he or she chooses. He can only appropriate his intelligence by using it. Just understanding it or believing in it is not enough. You've got to put it into specialized use in some form. And the responsibility, I feel like, of me talking about this is to give you a pattern or a blueprint by which you can take possession of your own mind and start to put it into operation. All you have to do is to follow the blueprint. Not just pick out that part of it which you like best. No. Take it in all as is. The 6th premise, the subconscious section of the mind. It appears to be the only doorway of individual approach to infinite intelligence. Now I want you to study that language very carefully. I said it appears to be. I don't know if it is, and I doubt that you do. And I doubt that anybody does. A lot of people have a lot of good ideas on the subject, but from the best intelligence that I have been able to use, best observations that I have been able to make. I've been on this earth a little minute now, through thousands of experiences. It is true that the subconscious section of the mind appears to be the only doorway of individual approach to infinite intelligence, and it is capable of influence by the individual through the means described in this subject and with lessons. The basis of approach is faith based upon definiteness of purpose. Now there's one sentence that gives you the whole key right there in that paragraph. Faith based upon definiteness of purpose. Listen, do you have any idea why it is that you don't have as much confidence in yourself as you should have? Have you ever stopped to think about that? Have you ever stopped to think about why it is that, you see an opportunity coming along, or what it is that you believe to be an opportunity? Then you begin to question yourself, to question your ability to embrace that opportunity and use it. Haven't you had that happen to you many times? Doesn't it happen every day? And if you ever have the chance to be closely associated with people who are very successful, you will find that that is one thing that they're not bothered by. If they want to do something, it never occurs to them that they can't do it. And I believe, in all honesty, that that's the condition and the operation of any successful mind. And incidentally, as much more as we talk on the subject, that's going to end up being, if you're listening to this needing to hear some kind of message, that's going to end up being the condition of your mind. You're going to be able to project your mind into whatever it is you want to do, and there'll be never any question in your mind as to whether or not you can do the thing that you want to do. Never a question in the world.